guys, welcome to another video. In today's video, we're going to be continuing to look at a scenario where civilization starts over. We are now on a shocking episode 8 of the series, which is pretty impressive. We have been doing the series for quite a bit now, and this is going to be one of the very, very exciting episodes. So, stay tuned to see that. Now, our first event in this video is going to be this country completely illegally annexing all of this occupied territory that they had seized from the Romans previously. And I wouldn't say that they delete this capital, but they kind of like, it's not a capital, of course, anymore, so it's just gone. But like, the major city's still there, don't worry, they didn't kill the people. Anyway, they're going to go through like a couple rows of massacres. So this action is very condemned by the entire world. In fact, everyone is like kind of upset with them. Like, what are you doing? That we're supposed to make that into like a country or try to decide what was going to happen, at least make it an autonomous region. But no, they just fully annexed it without telling anyone. Like, not even the members of the of this alliance, like not even the Farmers Union and France and Spain, none of them knew. They just like suddenly just did it with no warning at all. So lots of nations are going to get very mad at them for this, including the green team. And the green team is actually getting like incredibly mad at them for some reason. I'm not sure why. No one is actually sure why. But what's going to happen as a result is a formal declaration of war from this African team will be sent to the green team, and apparently the African team happened to find the green team's holdings here right before they did right after they did the annexation and people started getting mad at them. They happened to find out they happened to find out that the green team had this islands here, so they seized them from it. And now the green team is like, excuse me, what just happened? But this war is not going to end there, as they start to make landings. In fact, they're going to land on these Aegean Sea islands, which is going to definitely scare the green team, if not anything. And they're going to continue to get to these islands, and then eventually they make a landing right here on the green team's coast. This is pretty crazy because this could actually escalate, but since the green team is no longer very allied, not many people will like of course this is again going to be condemned, but not many people will actually try to aid the green team, except for Russia. Russia's pretty mad about this, but they don't get involved directly. So the green team will accept peace, and the peace is thus they give up these islands over here. I think it's Cape Verde. So they're gonna just give up those islands, and this is pretty embarrassing for the green team. They're a little annoyed. They don't really know what to do with themselves right now, because they thought that was like their little cool holding and that they could become like strong using that, so they're not sure what to do. Coming over to here to China, they're going to do something interesting. They're going to not find Taiwan, but they're going to invade Taiwan, and they're going to take this all over. The next very interesting event that's going to happen is that, by the way, every now and then I'm gonna probably lighten this, like if I just think of it, if I remember to, I'm going to try to lighten the shade of the color of the country before to show that they're invading it. So look, see, this is a different country than China, color than China, but they're going to invade this trading post right here that Malaysia had, and this is gonna get Malaysia very, very, very mad. And also, if you look at the major cities map, you can see that there was a major city there, and you can also see that there was a port there, and well, China just seized that whole area. So this is going to very much anger the Malaysian team. But even though the Chinese annex it, this war is very far from over, because the Malaysians will now... Oops, I have to fill in this island. Oops, whoa. I have to fill in this island. The Malaysians will now actually take a response to that, instead of just leaving them unchallenged, and they're going to start to invade. Is this a different shade? Barely. Okay, whatever. They're going to start to invade Taiwan, and they're going to completely take it out, and they're going to start to go through these islands too. And, well, this gets China very mad, and China is going to make a counter-strike. The orange team is completely chill about this, because they're so aware that, well, China wouldn't do anything to them, because they're not dumb enough to do anything to them. So yeah, they're just chilling and trading. And then China makes a landing in Borneo. Pretty interesting, right? They also take this island, and, well, the Malaysians are in a state of panic because the Chinese are now some of the strongest. They're up there in the strongest countries in the world. They're actually going to do some regular expanding in the new Borneo claim that they have, which is pretty crazy, because that just means that they're so sure they're going to hold on to it that they're literally expanding their own land. Then they're going to go and pay attention to these guys again, and their advance will slow down now that they're making it to these core islands, but they're still going to make it through. And they are actually trading and like buying weapons from a certain country. I think you guys can figure out which country it is, since that country is literally has a port in China and could easily trade with them anytime. Anyway, the Chinese start to make landings like all over the sides of this island, and they are going to quickly take it down. But once they enter Sumatra, the entire army, including some police and militias and the National Guard and the Capital Guard, will all show up here, and they're gonna really start to just bully the Chinese troops. Just bully them. They're just destroying them, and they're very heavily defeating them. They're actually making it through these islands. They're gonna take out this island, and, well, this is getting pretty bad for the Chinese because they're being counterattacked right now. But as soon as they make a landing in Borneo, it's taken back. And they try it again, and it's taken back. So they try up here, and this is taken back, and they lose this. And they're, like, not able to land and survive. So what they're gonna do is make, like, 1 billion landings at the exact same time to try to take out the Chinese. And it's going to work to an extent, but they did return those incredible amounts of troops that were not supposed to be there back to the capital. And also there's no Malaysian police here to also help out. That's also, by the way, a pretty cool thing to do, to make your police help your army out. But this is very, very difficult for both of them. So and then actually what's going to happen is the Chinese will fight back yet again, cut the Malaysians into two like this, start to make landings and just regular land invasions in general all around this area. So they encircle them, and they do the same over here. And the Malaysians are having their butts kicked, and they're really just falling apart at this point. Like, they can't really deal with this, and it's also destabilizing their nation, the fact that they're losing badly to China, which came out of them in only the span of like a few decades. I don't usually like to control time from you guys, but I'm going to tell you guys that this is just a few decades. So Malaysia will peace out. and we are going to look at the peace treaty right now. So looking at this peace treaty, we can see that the Chinese have taken just this bit of the island, so they actually ended up being partially humbled by the Malaysians, because they were thinking that they would be able to expand fully into this area and just keep it, but that never happened. They got to keep this island, and they also got this port right here. I didn't color in the port yet, if you look at the port map, but yeah. I would also like to address the fact that I made a trade routes map. So this is what the unupdated trade routes for this episode look like. Yeah, they're pretty expanded. As you can see, some of these are incomplete. Like this one needs to be complete. This one over here needs to be complete. Quite a bit of these need to be complete. But let's get back to the events. So another event that will happen is that the Russians, we're going to look over at the Russians now, are going to, I have to lighten this color. The Russians are going to actually invade the red team. And this was pretty shocking to a lot of people. Like, it shouldn't be that shocking, since the red team and Russia weren't very good friends. To be honest, they had some animosity that was like kind of brewing around, but no one expected Russia to just suddenly take them. If you look at the major cities, they're kind of like, this is kind of what happens, but I'm not going to do that yet, so yeah. I probably should have had major cities on, but I'm going to turn them on now. Another thing that will happen is that, oh, by the way, I forgot to mention that I changed the color, the Dutch team, and there's a reason for that. And that reason is that the blue that they were using will now be used for the Polish rebellion that is going to, that is going to spark up in the former Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth that existed, like Poland. And this is so ridiculously shocking for the Russians, because they would never expect this to like ever happen. This is just bizarre, to be honest, that the Russians weren't preparing for this. In fact, they had actually moved like a ton of their personnel away from this area because they were going to fight here, but that kind of backfired. Because now the Polish have been planning this for a while. The red team actually had like kind of, I don't want to say they knew, but they had like a plan secretly with Polish rebels that if the red team is ever invaded, Poland would jump out and start attacking back at the Russians. And while this is happening, the red government that had escaped into the Polish state, like of course hiding there, like not actually truly there, not actually obviously being there, I'm saying, will actually come back, and they're going to start invading the Russians. And by the way, even though I usually keep this invasion color, I just want to show how important Snake Island is to the Reds. So Snake Island is now a core territory of the red team again, and the red team is actually doing pretty good here. Wait, I have to clean up this border. We can see that the red team is moving, and they're moving quick. This is pretty shocking. Oh, and by the way, one thing I would like to mention is not only did this happen, there was also some like anti-Russian sentiment like being felt over here in Central Asia and all the way over here. Like this specific city, like they believe that this whole area should be part of this country. Those feelings were brewing up. Now, while this invasion was happening, I also like to mention that North Germany, since they're back, are going to re-guarantee this the Polish country, Poland, for more land this time. And well, they used to be allies, and North Germany had guaranteed the Poland before, but now this is like even better, and like North Germany is ecstatic. They're also going to declare war on Russia and just start like sending. They're going to start like sending a bunch of resources into the blue team to like help them function. So like if you look at the supply routes that are happening, like they would probably look something like this, like to this capital, and then to here, or down here, and then to here. Like there's probably some kind of like connection going on here. So right now, this whole Russian area has been separated from them, and well, this is really not looking good for Russia. And this whole area that's surviving by themselves somehow, because this is a big faction of the Russian military, is like they're like barely scraping off what they can to survive. And these two major cities here are also not very liking of Russians, because, well, they were just taken away from the purple team, and the purple team, everyone knows, is pretty nationalistic. But then a large, like, purple invasion, oops, wrong color, there. A large purple invasion will start to blast into the Russian Empire, and all of this former territory will be returned to them. It's pretty exciting, and Poland's rebellion is getting a bit out of hand at this point, while the Russians are having a large fallback, but it's going to stop right here at St. Petersburg. Wait, I want to show something a little more. As you can see, like, basically, now that they took so much time as being Russian puppets, they have almost, like, they have very similar technology to them. Of like, every time the Russians get better army, they give their last generation, like, technology to this country, Poland. So now Poland, of course, definitely has boats. So they're going to sail over to Finland. I actually wouldn't say that Finland is going to, like, join the Polish rebellion. Finland is actually going to be their own, like, separate rebellion here. And they're also going to spring up and start to invade. Whoa. They're also going to start to invade up over here. And they didn't invade Poland, don't worry. They just own these. They're like trying to grab these two lakes here. So they own all of this. And wait, so they're gonna peace out with the Russians, just like completely leave the war, and they're gonna take whatever Greater Finland land they want to become Greater Finland. Here. So this is all the land they take, and they're gonna move a little over here, and then they're actually going to start whoa, not that quickly. They're gonna come like here, and then they're gonna start to like snake along the coast a little bit and get just a little bit bigger. Now, continuing here, I'm sorry, I forgot to cover this before the Finland left the war, but at the time before Finland had left the war, there was a massive dual siege double siege, not they weren't dueling or anything. There was a massive double siege, like a buddy siege, 2v1. That was happening, Poland and Greater Finland versus this St. Petersburg, right? And well, it turned out like this. If I turn off, I'm gonna turn off major cities, sorry. So one last time, I'll just flash it to you guys to see. There. So there are going to, they started to inch up, and they did enter the city, and then the same thing happened with the Finnish, and the agreement, guess who gets it? Boom, boom, boom. It could be like this, or it could be like this. I hope you guys guessed it. Finland will be actually the one that gets the city. They will get the entirety of St. Petersburg and a lot of surrounding territories. Back to the major cities map. So Poland is really punishing the Russian Empire. Whoa, wrong color. The Russian Empire, and they're going to try to spearhead towards this right here and take this out. The last layer I'm going to tell you guys about. I also added an ideology map showing what every nation's ideology is. So as you can see here, every country in the world is this gray circle, is this gray thing, except for this Mongolian country here. So what the gray circle means is that you are a absolute monarchy. What this means is that there's a council alongside your monarchy, I guess. So yeah, now something strange that's going to happen. By the way, this is like a top tier war moment that's probably ever going to happen in the series. What happens is that Russia is going to redirect incredible amounts of troops from these four cities, all the way over here to this city, and then they're going to distribute very small, tiny fragments and divisions to these other cities here. And this is one of the best calls by a general in the history of Wixo, because what's going to happen here is that immediately after this happens, this counciled monarchy, Mongolian nation, is going to test the first gunpowder, very simple firework rocket type of thing. They're just going to take a firework and shoot it into the sky, and they're going to realize, what if we use this to kill armies instead of just prisoners? And guess what happens? Boom, 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 boom. Wait, I'm sorry. They're actually going to invade first into here, and they're going to bring their fireworks stuff with them. While the invasion is going quick, somehow, I don't know how the general called it, as his troops are here in their journey, these guys start invading, which was pretty crazy, and they didn't know, the Mongolians also didn't know that the Russian troops are arriving. So now there's a little circle right here. There's a little Russian soldier circle that's preparing right here to win this war. I don't know. Who do you guys think will win? A massive army or modern technology? I hope if you guys are in the right mind, you said modern technology, because once these guys get to where they want to, the Russians will actually reach this area and start to fight back. This is going to force these Mongolians to move their super weapon from here back to here. First, they have to secure their front line. So this is going to be a very tight, small front line. Just some back and forth fighting right here. They're going to fight back again. The Russians are actually going to do a little maneuver right here to try to round off here. And the Mongolians are going to do a little attack over here. It's a kind of weird shape. They're going to do this kind of weird attack. I'm not sure what they're doing, really. And neither are the Russians. But while they were doing this massive encirclement is made, and it takes out quite a bit of Russian troops. And after this encirclement is made, they start to approach a bit too close to this major city. So the Russians will withdraw very quickly, just enough to meet this front line, and they will try to fight back just a little bit, but they are not successful this time, because pow, 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 a bunch of fireworks. So all of these rockets are shot at the Russian front line, all over here. Russia's stunned, like, what is this sorcery, they probably think it is. And also a couple will hit the city. Quite a few will actually hit the city. They had quite a barrage. Like, they're gonna move forward a little and then have quite a barrage just absolutely smoke through the city. The dust settles. There is like barely any Russian army men here, and they're going to quickly surrender over to these Mongolians. So I'll see you after I make the peace treaty. So looking at this peace treaty, we can see that this the Mongolian country took quite a bit of land. They're also going, they're pretty rich. I wouldn't say that they're rich. They're like acceptably rich. Guess what else is gonna happen? A large rebellion is going to strike the Russian Empire with a huge sweeping attack, and this is very detrimental to the Russian Empire. At this point, they're like on a collapse run, kind of. As they start reaching these less rebellious cities, they will get pushed back with quite a big force, actually. These cities are going to be taken back, and a front line will stabilize. Back over to the Western Front, which has been pretty solid and pretty quiet, because there has been a very, very light ceasefire, and the Russians have actually like begged the Polish to please stop attacking us. Just have a peace treaty with us already. We're tired. We want to end the war. Please, we'll agree to any terms you want. We can give you a lot of land. These two guys, after the peace treaty ends, are like, no, we want your blood. So they're going to continue their large invasion. What's going to happen, and this is going to be very important to the tide of the war, this Caucasian nation will decide that they are going to invade the Polish and Red forces, and they're going to take them out because they want to help Russia, and they think that Russia can actually win this war if they join, which is actually working out right now. The Red forces are like extremely overwhelmed by this. However, if you guys are wondering why can't these guys just land here and take over the capital, it's because the Reds have such incredible naval dominance that they're actually going to land on these guys and approach the capital. They're going to, whoa, wrong color. They're going to wrap all the way around the Sea of Azov and start to take back, but they're actually not doing too well in terms of inland. They're doing pretty good on coast though. If we shrink this size, this brush size, then we can continue. We see that the red team makes a landing here, which actually connects up with these two fronts. A landing here, and a landing down here. And these are actually all going to be successful, and they're really just going to tear through these Caucasian forces. And well, the Caucasians were wrong when they thought they could win, because the red team has just overwhelmed their capital. This is not turning out well for the Caucasians, as the I keep messing up what I'm saying. The red team continues their invasion. The green team will stack it all up and also start to invade. And just when you thought this couldn't get any worse, no, I'm just kidding. This is not going to get that bad. But the green team is going to ridiculously affect this war, like really heavily. They're going to come all the way across here, and there's quite a bit of, wait, why was I about to say oil? Oil doesn't matter yet. Okay, I'm sorry. They're going to have a quite a big invasion. The only thing that's like fighting here is just like random like militias and groups. So what's going to happen is the Russians are just going to fill in for these guys. Don't worry, the green team is not at war with the Russians. That would be way too bad. The Caucasians have kind of been just removed from the war totally. The green and Russian teams are just going to have their troops like stop where their troops were and just have like just to stabilize front line here. They're not going to attack each other. I think they're both actually scared of the other right now, but the Reds are slowing down a little bit, just a little bit. By the way, just so you guys know, this has been a couple years. Like, this is a long, grueling war. A very long, grueling war. And we see that as some Russian troops start to, like, they're heading over here. Some of these guys are being told to leave to protect this front now, because the Western Front is falling out of control. And because of this event, this rebel group will jump back in yet again, and instead of going for the north this time, they're actually going to come through this whole area here and take this major city. By the way, if you guys are wondering where did this rebellion sprout from, it sprouted from like this area right here, and this area, and this area, and this area, but it just made a huge front. So they're starting to lose their grip on these cities, and they're really starting to just lose in general. And once the rebels get all the way up to this line, they are going to get a little closer, all the way up to here. Well, they're going to make a little bit of advances in the north, very slight advances, but once they get to this specific line right here, the entire fronts, why did I just say fronts? Both fronts on both sides will completely stabilize, and that will be the end of today's video. We are going to stop this war right here. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you did, please like and subscribe. And as always, I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.